Today, I will be conquering TDS's hardest game mode solo, including the hardest game mode, Polluted Wastelands. And for every round I lose, I will give away 100 Robux, leaving me downright broke. But before I start this near impossible challenge, I'll need a warm-up round. Out of all of these challenges, Pizza Party was the one I was most likely to beat. It had been soloed using no special towers, so surely it wouldn't be a struggle, right? I went into the first round with this in mind, placing a golden cowboy for the early game. It did well, and soon I got it to level 2, one of the best for making money. I grew my armada of level 2 cowboys until the scout boss's arrival, where he was quickly shredded. I began to upgrade a few of my cowboys to level 3, so that we wouldn't die to shadows. This worked well, as we clapped them. We were getting through all the waves with ease, and I was feeling pretty confident we could win. By wave 16, I'd gotten my first accelerator, which made things even easier for my defense. Soon I placed DJ, which would be important later on. Let's give his beats a listen, shall we? On wave 21, I did need to resort to a consumable to minimize our damage, leaving us with a decent amount of health remaining. I expected the shotgunner boss to be quickly shredded by the accelerators, but he kept creeping further away until he was entirely out of their range. I considered placing an accelerator, but then I knew I had to solve this the American way, with a bunch of bombs. Unfortunately, the very next wave, the shotgunner boss pushed ahead again. This time, he made it to the base. This was one attempt gone. Of the 5 I will be getting to beat each challenge. This is what makes these challenges near impossible, so I'm sure there will be some losses later on. On my second attempt, I actually managed to kill the shotgunner. Unfortunately, on wave 24, the shadow boss spawned, which my accelerators ignored. He ended up making it to base as well, giving me 3 more tries to get this right. This time, upon reaching wave 24, I barely managed to kill the shadow boss, but enemies continued to push through our defense. I got so desperate that I actually used my nuke, which was very dumb. The commander boss was thankfully not a struggle at all, but the next wave's shotgunners were. They made it to our base, giving us our 3rd loss. I knew by now I needed to do something different, so I decided to use Brawler for early game to allow myself to farm. It was also able to speedrun the waves, making things a lot faster. The Brawlers were basically bullying the scout bosses, allowing me to invest more of my money into farms. Even breakers were little problem for them. I felt on top of the world. Soon, we approached the very same shotgunner wave, with a much improved defense, and yet I still needed a nuke to get past them. I would end up losing to shadow bosses 2 waves later, and for my final attempt, I lost to the first shotgunner boss, meaning I'd just lost 100 Robux. With the easiest challenge lost, I had a feeling I'd be doing 4 100 Robux giveaways by the end of this. Despite the previous challenge being a train wreck, I was hopeful for the next challenge. And that challenge is Badlands 2.
Yeehaw!
For my loadout, inspired by Danks, I brought Golden Cowboy for early and eco, Commander for the fire rate buff, Accelerator for DPS, Pursuit for some extra DPS, and Ranger for its high damage, rocking the propellers fit for good luck. To start, I used Golden Cowboy, which was proving itself to be useful in every special game mode. I slowly grew my army of cowboys, enhancing my greed and my defense. I was feeling pretty confident so far, as we hadn't had any leaks, at which point we leaked several breakers. I slowly began upgrading my Golden Cowboys to level 4, which was good for DPS and money-making. Unfortunately, it was not enough to get past wave 21, and I lost. My morale was still high, however, as wave 21 was still a good first attempt, and surely I wouldn't have any more struggle with it. For my second attempt, I decided to prioritize accelerators over level 4 cowboys. However, this didn't prevent me from losing. Before attempting this for a 3rd time, I looked carefully at Dank's cowboy placements, changing mine accordingly. Unfortunately, the enemies still got by, this change doing virtually nothing. I once again leaked on the fourth try on the very same wave, Wave 21. I went into the final try with little expectations and ended up losing once more, at which point I realized I could have used one of my flags the whole time. That means we're at a sum of 200 Robux lost. By now, I was determined to get a win, though I wasn't very confident, as our next challenge was polluted wasteland. I found out that solo polluted wastelands 2 was impossible without golden mini, which I didn't have. I decided to change my goal to only reach the polluted monster. I didn't need to beat him. I started as always with golden cowboy, and as expected, they did well. I slowly added more level 2 cowboys until some threatening enemies spawned, hazmats. Thankfully, we managed to get by with little difficulty. Even the first boss was just a sack of cash. We were doing quite well, though I made sure not to get my hopes up this time. I got some brawlers for their knockback, which was sure to be useful later on. As we approached Wave 21, I got some accelerators and a commander to help with the amalgamation. It swiftly got past most of our cowboys, and unfortunately made it to the base. Despite this loss, I went into the second round with unwavering confidence. The early waves went as smoothly as I expected, and I barely beat Wave 22. We leaked quickly after, resulting in a loss on Wave 23. On my third attempt, I decided to give a damage flag a go, but it didn't change much. I was losing hope at this point, as I only had 2 attempts remaining. I tried to use both a damage and fire rate flag, but it changed nothing. At this point, all hope I'd had was lost. I'd basically given up. I managed to get past Wave 22 just fine, but I just couldn't pull off Wave 23. This left me with only one challenge left to face. The final challenge was to solo hardcore. For my loadout, I'd brought Brawler for early, NG for hidden and flying enemies, Accelerator for pure DPS, Commander for support, and Ranger for lead balloons. My first game was unfortunately off camera, but I reached around Wave 30 before losing. For my second round, I started out with Brawler, which carried most of the early waves, while I relied on Engineer for balloons. All the waves before Wave 24 had been easy, but Wave 25 with its 3 shadow bosses was a definite threat. Thankfully, Brawler's pushback mechanic carried, leaving us with only a minor leak. Brawler's pushback mechanic was also useful for rushers, which were shredded. Soon, the fallen Titan spawned, but the real threat was the shadow bosses, which ended up killing us. Getting over halfway into hardcore mode was a good attempt, and I was feeling pretty confident. The early game for the third round went well as expected, at least until we leaked Fallens on Wave 29, resulting in my third loss. On my fourth attempt, I didn't change much, still using Brawler to carry the early game, Engineer for enemies that required unique detections, and Accelerator for its raw DPS. I easily shredded Wave 25, and I only faced a minor leak on Wave 29. I even managed to surpass Wave 32, allowing me to reach the first major boss, the Gravedigger. Unfortunately, I got some bad RNG with his stomps, resulting in him getting by with a majority of his health. This resulted in my fourth loss, which means I had one final try before I'd have lost every single challenge. And of course, I anticlimactically lose on Wave 32 again. This means in total, there will be 4 winners of my 100 Robux giveaway. Of course, I lost on purpose just so you guys could get more Robux, because I'm just so generous. If you want to join the giveaway, join my Discord server, linked in the pinned comment, and just in case you do win, join my Roblox group, where I'll be giving out the rewards, linked below as well. With that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.